Today I'm going to be making 3 DIYs using the spring floral bouquets from the Dollar Tree. And for this first DIY, I'm going to be making a floral vase. Just starting off by taking off the ribbon. So now I'm going in with some white chalkboard paint and I'm painting the entire exterior of the vase, and I'm going to give it a good 2 coats of paint just to make sure that it is completely covered. And the paint that I'm using is actually from Michael's and it's from the Craftsmart brand, and the brush that I'm using is from Dollar Tree as well, and that comes in a 3 or 4 pack, I believe. But now here I'm just dabbing it a little bit just because I ended up liking how the texture of that looked. And excuse me guys for the fast forwarding. I didn't want this video to be entirely of me painting a vase. So now I'm just going in with some brown acrylic paint, and I got this from Michael's as well. And I'm grabbing some water and I'm mixing those two together. And I'm just going to be dabbing a little bit of this here and there on the vase just to give it a little bit of a more aged effect. And I know everybody has their own way of doing this, but this is how I do it and this is what works for me. So now I'm just going in with some jute twine, and we actually had this on hand already. I believe we bought this at Home Depot a while back. So I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it around a couple times and make a little bow and just cut the bow. And for the last part here, I'm just gonna be grabbing 4 of the spring floral bouquets in all purple, and I'm just placing them inside the vase. There is nothing inside the vase, just the bouquets, and voila, that is my DIY. So for my second DIY, I'm actually going to be making a Easter wreath. I'm using 3 bouquets of greenery. I'm also going to be using the Happy Easter sign with the bunny on top, but I'm only going to be using the Happy Easter carrot. And I also bought a lavender wreath. This was actually from the 99-cent store. It was not purchased from the Dollar Tree. It was $1.99. So I'm going to start this by taking apart all of the pieces to the bouquets, and they're pretty easy to pop off. You just kind of pull them out. And I'm actually going to be using mostly every single piece just to give the wreath a fuller effect. So now I'm just grabbing some toothpicks that I bought from the Dollar Tree, and I am sticking them through each individual piece of the flowers. And this is just going to help me to insert the pieces into the wreath much easier and keep them in place. So before I place the picks onto the wreath, I'm just going to grab the Happy Easter sign and place that in the middle, and I'm going to glue it down with a hot glue gun. So now that the sign is up, I can go in with my picks and I'm going to be sticking them through the wreath. And with this wreath, it's pretty easy. You just literally stick them through. And I tried to place them in a pattern so that the wreath would look even and full. And I did end up hot gluing the big purple picks onto the wreath just because they're a little bit heavier. So I noticed that they were sliding and not sticking to the wreath as I would have liked. So for my last DIY, I'm going to be making a planner to place outside in our front door. This DIY took the longest to make, but it did end up being my favorite. And I didn't show you guys the products to start this one just because I wasn't sure what I would end up using. This DIY did require a lot of painting, so I went ahead and started with the clothespins. and I grabbed the white chalkboard paint that you saw in the beginning. I painted the first one individually, but I figured out that that would take way too long, so I ended up just grabbing bunches and painting one side at a time. I'm going to be using these as a fence for the planner, but I'm only going to be placing them on the front, so I only painted 28 of them. And I did paint all sides of the clothespins. So now I'm going to paint the trellis, and I got a black one, but they also do sell them in green. I wanted it to look more worn out, so I didn't completely cover it with the paint. So now I'm gonna grab the paint, and I'm only gonna be painting the top half of the planner. I'm only painting the top half because that's where I'll be placing the clothespins, and I don't want metal to be showing through the gaps. So now, like everything else, I'm gonna be painting the bunny white. I'm gonna give it a good 2 coats and then let it dry, because I am gonna come back to it later and add some details and some texture to it. So now that everything else is dry, I'm gonna start by placing all the clothespins onto the planner. And like I said before, I'm only going to be placing them in the front and also on the sides, because it's going to be against the wall, so no one will see the back part to it. Besides the painting, this was so easy to do, and I really liked the end results. So now I'm going to be finishing the bottom half of the planner, and I'm going to be using nautical rope to completely cover it. I'm going to be using a hot glue gun to attach it, and I'm just going to go section by section. I did end up gluing the rope in smaller sections because the glue does harden very quickly, so it doesn't stay on too well. I did also make sure to layer the rope on so that it would finish in the back. This rope was actually the perfect thickness to go with the clothespins because everything was completely aligned at the end. So now I'm at the very last part, and I'm just gonna try to tuck this in so that it looks like it belongs there. And that pretty much completes the base of the planner with the nautical rope and the clothespins as a fence. So now I'm gonna go ahead and complete the bunny. So I'm just going in with some brown acrylic paint, and I dabbed with a little bit of water and mixed it together. And I am just going ahead and I am going around the bunny with the brush, and I'm smudging it along the way. So what I'm doing now is I'm going in with a wet paper towel, and I'm basically just smudging the brown paint around the bunny, add some texture to it, and now I just need to add the bow. And I use the same jute twine that I used for the first DIY. I have the metal welcome sign that Dollar Tree comes out with every season, and now I just need to glue that down to the bunny, and I'm actually using E6000 for this because the hot glue gun dries way too quickly. So after this, I'm gonna grab a floral block, and I'm gonna stick all of the pieces into the planter. So now I'm just sticking in the flowers into the planner, and I'm using a couple different styles. I ended up using a total of 7 bouquets. I was going to use the carrots on the side to put them behind the wooden bunny, but I ended up not doing that just because I felt like it was a little bit too much. So now I'm just rearranging the flowers and kind of moving them around a little bit. And now I'm just going to attach the bunny to the top of the trellis. Lastly, I'm going to place the trellis into the planner, and I'll show you guys the end result. Have a beautiful day, guys. See you in my next video. With love, bye Dee.